Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anthony Cliff, and on this channel, and particularly in this research playlist, we're talking all things research and higher education and how to survive and navigate your journey through. So everything from SPSS to NVivo to what we've been discussing in the past two videos, all about supervisors and supervisory teams. So the last video was a little bit depressing. It was about the 5 bad traits and red flags of really bad supervisory teams. Today is a little bit more better, it's a bit more exciting and a little bit more uplifting, is the 5 good traits a good supervisor should have. So how am I qualified to talk about this? Well, I say I've supervised undergrads, master's students and PhD students for a couple of years, and in this year I was actually nominated for Outstanding Postgraduate Supervisor at the University Awards as well, and I was shortlisted for that, which is brilliant. So I feel that I can offer some good traits, and actually the best advice I can give you is from my own experience, is that from my undergrad, my master's and my PhD, I had absolutely astonishingly good supervisors, and how they approach things was very different to each different supervisor that I had, but they were all fantastic. And some of those skills I'm going to talk about today, and those good flags, is come from my experience of what's something I've really benefited and taken into my supervisory role. So let's get good trait from a supervisor. Somebody who wants to get to know you, not just as a student. So this is really important, I find, because as a supervisor, yes, we're here to develop your skills, we're to develop you as a researcher, but actually we're here to develop you as a person as well, because we understand, or at least I understand, that, you know, particularly you guys have a very challenging time. You have multiple lessons, you might have a job, you might have family commitments. The higher education student today is very different than it was many years ago. You have plenty of challenges that go on in your lives. Now, like I mentioned in the previous video about bad trait of supervisors, those who don't really care and they just focus on the research, but that's just seeing you as a number, not as a person. So what's really good about a good supervisor and a good supervisory team is they want to get to know you, they want to get to know how you work, how you operate, what challenges and constraints have you got at home which might impact your research, and how we can obviously try and navigate that in terms of deadlines and what we're asking you to do. And of course, just really get to know you as a person and get to know you as a good supervisory team, really develop a really great working relationship with you as students and supervisory team. Now, again, that's really important because A, it makes you feel comfortable to have those debates, which is really important, and also to really give you the ownership of that particular project. So those supervisors who want to get to know their students and really help them and give advice, not just in an academic sense but in a personal aspect as well, are definitely the best supervisors I've ever had, and that's something that I've always tried to bring in to my supervisories as well. So that's definitely a good point to look out for. The second good trait is the supervisor who instills confidence and really lets you take the lead in the project from early on. So yes, it depends. If you're an undergraduate, then we don't expect you to take the lead in our first supervisory meeting because it is brand new to you. Of course, we do expect you to come with some ideas of how you want the project to go, and like I say, it's not my project, it's your project. But particularly at PhD and master's level, we really want you to take control of that project early on, to really take ownership of it. But of course, we're here to guide you, but a good supervisory team will really foster that feel that you can take control of it and that you have ownership and that it is your project. So freedom to explore and to talk to different people and to make mistakes, but you've got that safety net of your supervisor there who's just going to nudge you in the right path if you step off it. So that is a really good trait for a good supervisor to have. The third good trait is the supervisor who admits their flaws. Now, not everybody does this, and it's quite a challenging thing to do. It took me a long time to get used to doing it, but it's something I regularly do with my students, is that I don't know everything, and particularly, actually, I don't think I've actually supervised the students who have been an expert in that particular chosen field that they have. But they've all got through, and likewise, I've had supervisors who've not been experts in my field either. But they're experts in their own way. They have different skill sets. Particularly mine is methods and research methods, rather than the content of a particular, geographical landform, for example, or a flooding technique. So I know my limitations, and I tell my students that, and I'm open if I don't know something. So I really do encourage my students to look outside of the supervisory team, to talk to other tutors, to talk to other students. Really get a sense of that, because that's what research is about. It's you collecting information and making a decision. So a good supervisory team have the confidence in themselves of, they know their limitations, and they know that if you come to them and saying somebody else has said I should do it this way, then again, as long as you're having that critical debate and you're backing it up, that they're happy, that they're not the type of people who I mentioned before in the previous video about those who don't want to talk to anybody else. That's not what this is about. This should be about having that, again, that vibe in that team, which you can openly talk to different people and to gain that knowledge and then bring it together, because you might both learn something. So that's number 3. Now the next trait, which I find is really, really important as a supervisory team, is the ones who build your career and they let you flourish. So not everybody does this in academic teams, particularly if you're at master's level and your research is good enough, and particularly at PhD, you're required often to publish, or you're expected to publish your papers that you've developed from your theses. Now often, at least in the UK context, academics who are supervisors often assume then that they are on that paper, and they may even put themselves first or at least second or third author, despite not actually writing anything in your particular thesis. And they're doing that because obviously it helps them in their career progression, but it doesn't necessarily help you in your career progression. Because often, if you've got sole authored papers, that's a lot better than a collaborative paper, particularly when you're starting off in your research journey. Now, what astonished me from my brilliant supervisors, Dr. Fran Tracy and Professor Tim Stott, who were fantastic supervisors for my PhD, when it came around to writing my first paper, I offered, as was the norm, yeah, I'll put you on the paper, and they both refused, which is really quite special, because they said, no, you've written the paper, Tony, you put the work, it is our job as supervisors to support you. We're not doing anything special here, that is our job, so I don't expect to be on the paper. Now to me, from what I'd seen in academia, that was a real land shift change for me, and really showed that I actually genuinely cared about me and my career progression, and that they weren't using me as a stepping stone to better things in their career. And that gave me such great confidence to really go out there and develop that sole authored paper. And again, knowing that they put the time in to have a look, and to edit, and to check it through, but they didn't want to be on that paper. And then it got published. I was the first in my PhD group to actually get published as a sole authored paper, and I actually got another one as well out of that, and they were just brilliant. So, and those supervisors who don't want to be on it, fair play, absolutely brilliant. So that's a great trait to have. And number 5, the really good trait of a good supervisor is those who give you opportunities even when you don't think you're ready for them. So throughout my entire university career and research career to date, my old supervisors and old colleagues particularly have, whenever an opportunity has come up, they recognise that I'm ready for it, even if I don't think I am, and they're giving me the opportunity to take that on, and often paid as well. They'll pay me for my time, which again is vitally important. They're not using the old excuse of you're going to gain experience in a particular skill. They're paying for my time on their research project or to help them out. And they're giving me that opportunity because they are instilling confidence. When you have a supervisor who says you can do this, and I recommend that you go forward and take this opportunity, they're putting their necks on the line there, but they know that you can do it. And that really does help build your confidence, because like I say, what I want from my students is once they finish their dissertation, brilliant, they've done the research, they've developed those skills, and they've got a great bound thesis there they can show an employer. But all those other skills around about that, like communication skills, that, you know, how to critically debate, how to develop different things, how to project manage, that's all on you. And a supervisory team who give you those opportunities, even during or even after you leave, are just the best type of supervisors. So they're my 5 green flags, as they were, of what makes a really, really good supervisor and supervisory team. Often I find that students really like, particularly, say, the point 1, the students who, so the supervisors who really get to know their students and treat them as human beings and really foster that community vibe, which is something I always try and bring into my students. Please do comment below any other good traits that you have from your supervisory teams. I'd love to hear from you and to really shout about that in the comments, because again, not often, we always talk about the bad, we never really talk about the good. So let's shout about the good that's going on in academia, however rare it might be at times. Please do, if you'd like this video, like and subscribe. It really does help the channel, it helps me to develop more content. And please do check out the research playlist as well, like I say, to have a look at those things about SPSS and Vivo, or like the video I did not so long ago, how to actually complete a PhD in under 3 years, just like I did. Okay, I shall see you guys soon. Bye for now.